important you just said that.
Yeah.
Like, I think because everyone searches for answers they know, but they don't trust their gut. And you're saying,
Right.
like, listen to your gut
Yes.
as women, as moms.
Now, how do you get people to trust their gut?
I tell them, I'm constantly reminding people of that. I always say to them, listen, I don't care if someone believes in what I do. That doesn't matter to me. That's not why I do what I do. I want people to believe in themselves.
Welcome to the new series, Cocktails and Conversation with Kat and Nat.
And we've decided to bring you all of these conversations with people that we like to have, where there's a little bit of wisdom, always hilarity and hilaria. Yes. Some famous, some just cool, some drink, some don't drink, but there's always a conversation.
Cheers, join us.
Place where children and dogs and husbands can't find us or bother us.
I need that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, no knocking on the door. You know what I mean? There's absolutely nothing.
Well, wait, for me, that might be a problem because people knock on my window, like they yell at me at stoplights, so.
Oh my gosh, that is true.
We hide in the driveway.
Yeah, and we're not famous, so that's fine.
I'm gonna have to try that. That sounds awesome.
Are you in New Jersey?
No, I'm in Long Island, New York.
Sorry, Long Island. Did it snow?
No.
Well, Albany snowed. We got snow last night. We're in Toronto, so we're like just kind of
okay.
It's terrible.
Yeah,
It's
so we're in the deep snow.
Oh my God. No, so it didn't snow here yet, but it is freezing.
Winter
So
coat.
cold. I see the winter coat. You guys are all like bundled up.
It's freezing. It's like mine. It's in the negative.
Theresa, when you get famous and you become a star, don't you move to LA?
I don't know who's famous.
You!
Why
Why are you staying there? You love Long Island?
I live right next door to where I grew up. My parents still live next door. Yep. So I've lived on my block for 48 years. And I bought this house in 1988. So.
Oh my gosh. Well,
where am I going? Where am I going?
I know where's she going. Where am I going? She's going
somewhere
nowhere.
hot.
Malibu.
No, I could visit.
That's true.
I mean, I wouldn't change my life for anything. The fact that I still live next door to my parents, and especially with this pandemic, I was able to keep my eye on them. And it was nice because we like quarantined all together. And, I wouldn't trade that. People, I mean, I remember someone told my dad recently, like, oh, so your daughter moved to Oyster Bay Cove. And my dad's like, no. And they're like, well, we saw her and we know she moved there. And my dad's like, okay, well, I just saw her this morning walking down the driveway because I live next door to her.
Okay, we've jumped right into the conversation, but we forgot that people who listen, we're not just talking to you. And, there might be someone out there who doesn't know who in the heck you are, or let's introduce you. And why don't you give us a little intro?
Sure. Well, I'm Theresa Caputo, and I'm just your typical Long Island mom, but I talk to the dead.
I love that.
That is just so outrageous.
So we were told that you hadn't been inspired to write a book, but the time wasn't right to write a book that's coming out soon. And then you wrote the book pre-COVID.
Correct.
And it's all about loss, not just death, but like health and relationships and all that. So the first question is, did you know that something was coming where all of the world was going to feel a loss, or was it just coincidence?
No, I don't believe there's such thing as a coincidence. I think that spirit pushed me to write this book? Absolutely. I never thought in a million years that this book, no matter if someone lost a loved one or not, that it could become their quote unquote Bible way through life of realizing. And, through my reading, again, like if someone's not familiar with what I do, I have the ability to communicate with people that have died. And, trust me, I'm the first one to say, like, that's crazy. There's no way that someone can speak to someone that has died. But for me, I was born this way. So I don't know anything different. I thought it was normal that people would sense and feel things that I was. And it wasn't until later in my life that I found out that I was not only sensing my own departed loved ones, but everyone else's.
Theresa, how did so when you were young, started when you were like 4 that you started noticing, did you tell your parents and what the heck did they think?
No, you know, that's the thing. I've always, I guess what I'm realizing about myself, I grew up very different than most people. I'm very fortunate and blessed. Forget the fact that I had my grandparents well into my 40s and didn't really suffer tragic losses until well into my 40s. But my parents, they're very open people. We were always able to talk about the things that I sensed and felt. I come from a very spiritual family. I'm also a practicing Catholic, but I was able to talk about, I mean, I distinctly remember being 4 and, you know, saying to the babysitter, did you just see that woman that walked in front of the TV?
Wow. Did that babysitter ever come back?
I was just going to say to you, I don't think she ever came back.
Right.
But like,
hell no.
I would say these things and like no one ever made a big deal about it. And I remember at 16, my dad's mom had passed and we were at her house after the funeral. And my cousin came up to me and he's like, Theresa, who are you talking to? I literally was talking to the drapes. And I'm like, oh, I'm talking to Nanny. And he's like, she's dead. We just came from her funeral. And I'm like, she's right here. And again, nobody made a big deal about it. You know, they just kind of embraced it and understood about an afterlife. And as I got older, I just kept suppressing it. And that's how I suffered from the anxieties.
Right.
But
can I ask you what this is we are also very big, like just believe in energies and spirits. Mm-hmm. We believe in the energies. Do you, are energies like, do you feel people's energy when they walk in the room and not just the spirits that have passed over?
Oh, yeah, because spirit will also make me feel how someone else feels. Did you ever walk into a room and like you could be in the best mood ever, right? You're having like this fantastic day and you walk into a room and it's like you feel like you hit a wall and it's like, woof, right?
Yes.
That's
always.
Yes. So what you're doing is you're picking up other people's energies, their aura, if someone is having a bad day. So it took me, like, I used to walk around literally all day long going, and when I would feel things go, be gone, you are not of me, be gone, you are not of me. Because what I was doing was acknowledging the energy, but like, I'm not letting it affect me. Like
what was like that as a mom though? Like as a mom, was that like stressful? Like having little kids and because that's being a mom is like consume. Mm-hmm. Did you ever have that?
And let me tell you something, when your kids get older, it's not easier. The bigger the kids, the bigger the problems.
we're getting there, you know, and the problems go later. Like at least you used to be able to put them to bed at like 7:30. Now it's like 9:30, 10, and you're still talking. You're like, oh.
Well, as you can see behind me, my little office has turned into a Call of Duty or whatever this gaming thing is.
COD with the boys, Mom.
This is what this room has turned into. So like they're up until like 2:00 in the morning. Like, you know, it's like I can't tell them to go to bed.
That's true.
So you had like we had been on a phone call with someone where we had to put it on mute and we're like, oh my God, this person has the worst energy. And now you're clearly, are you doing Zoom calls now? Like,
how are you doing your readings?
Yeah, so it's interesting. That's how I actually started my podcast, Hey Spirit, because I realized that I could read people over Zoom. For me, Zoom was like the new phone reading. So, and it's really, really interesting. We're filming Long Island Medium now. So we're doing majority of the readings over Zoom. We started doing some in person, you know, 6 feet apart, wearing a mask. And it's really unbelievable on how you could still like feel that emotion.
Really?
Because you know, I think people have such a big misconception about
you felt them while they were taught, like you can feel it. Everything you can feel. We didn't even see their faces and we could hear it. We were like, oh my God, you know?
Yeah, I just got the chills. Like it's really amazing. Like spirit never ceases to amaze me on their ability to give us that peace and comfort in knowing that not only that there really is an afterlife, but more importantly, that they are still with us, just in a different way. And I think people have this big misconception about what I do, or even myself. listen, I'm not here to tell anybody what they should do with their life, predicting the future. You know, people used to come years ago and they'd be like, oh, I want to know if my husband's cheating. I'm like, listen, honey, if you think your husband's cheating, you don't need me. You don't need your grandmother who died to tell you that he is. Like, that's your gut instinct. That's your knowing, you know. But I
that's
think
so important. You just said that. Like, I think because everyone searches for answers they know, but they don't trust their gut. And you're saying, like, listen to your gut as women, as moms. Listen to it, right?
I feel like so many people in our community, because so many moms are able to share with us what they're going through and ask us questions. And I think that, like, being able to listen to your gut isn't something that comes naturally to everybody. And I feel like they feel so they feel like they're not confident in trusting their own gut, so they look to others for the answers. How do you get people to trust their gut?
I tell them, I'm constantly reminding people of that. I always say to them, listen, I don't care if someone believes in what I do. That doesn't matter to me. That's not why I do what I do. I want people to believe in themselves. I want them to know that the things that they're sensing and feeling, that they're experiencing from their departed loved ones' souls, that's real. They're not crazy. It's not their imagination. It's not wishful thinking. It is them letting them know that they're with them at that exact moment. That soul bond can never and will never be broken. Sometimes that little intuition, I always say that's our Jiminy Cricket. That's like our loved ones guiding us. You know, you ever get that feeling like, oh, I'm going to go home this way. And then you go home a completely different way. And then you find out there was a terrible accident or something happened, right? And you're like, I just missed that. That's spirit. I mean, there's time and time again where that has happened, where spirit just like, they get you to just do something different, to notice something, you know?
Or you feel something before you know it's going to happen. And then you're like, did I make that happen? Or did that just happen because of, you know?
I had this one time, just a little story. I was at my office, and then I went downstairs to the food court to get some to eat, because girl needs some chicken fingers at about 4 o'clock. You know what I mean? So I go down there, and I'm in the food court, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, and I don't have like panic attacks or anything. I cannot move from my chair. I can't eat. I can't do anything. So I have my cell phone. I call upstairs to the office. I'm like, guys, I'm stuck down here. Like, I can't move. And they go, we've been trying to find you. Your mom just called. She got in a car accident. She did not die. She was okay. But it was like the moment that it hit me, it was probably, it had to have been the exact same moment that she got in the car accident. Other fun fact, I live right beside a cemetery, and people all the time are like, oh my God, look at her face. Like, the cemetery's right there. Like, when we were friends with all the foremans of the cemetery, we're always in there, and people always go, oh my gosh, I can't believe you bought a house beside the cemetery. I go, ghosts and spirits, why do you think they're all bad guys? They're just your grandma.
Yeah, exactly. My favorite place to hang out is sometimes at the cemetery.
Beautiful,
so quiet. It's so quiet, you know?
Yes. You know, people don't understand that. Like, and I think that's just in general, we fear what we don't know. We fear what we can't see, what we can't touch, right? But that's the other thing. When I communicate with a soul, they talk about things that nobody else would know about. They talk about things that we experience, maybe things that we've said to them in our own personal thoughts or prayers. They talk about things that happened years ago, like to remind us of happier times. And the main thing of why I do what I do is because so many people are left with burdens and guilt after someone dies.
I was gonna ask you that. What do you think that is for people who, you know, feel that need to, it's like they have unfinished, like the people alive have something unfinished that they need to do, you know? It's so interesting.
It's interesting because everyone comes for different reasons. Some people come, maybe they lost a child. Some people come, whether they lost their grandmother or a parent, right? It's due to choices or decisions. Sometimes people have an argument with someone before they pass. It's mind-blowing to me on the things that spirit has me saying. I'm like, how did that happen? What do you mean? What do you mean? Like, how did I even get to say that to you? It's insane. So not everyone comes. Some people just come for validation. Some people come for the quote unquote, and don't take this wrong, the fun of it, just to see what their loved ones want to say. I had a guy, he's going to be on Long Island Medium. He had no idea who I was. No clue. And as I'm channeling, the soul that was talking to me said, he just literally said to himself, what the F am I doing here? I got to get out of here. This lady's crazy.
That's
I said
amazing.
And he literally looked at me, he goes, I literally just said that to myself.
Oh my gosh.
But like, I can't read people's minds. You know, like, again, that was just it's like a misconception. Like, that is what his friend needed to do to validate, say, look, man, this shit is real. Like, this is a real gift that's happening right now. And he came with no expectations, you know, and I feel people that come with no expectations, they get the best experience.
Well, also, aren't the non-believers the ones who are probably the ones who are the most fearful, right? Like, they're the ones who are like that. There's no way. Is right. I find so many people are so fearful of death in that conversation, right? It comes up and they're like, you'll jinx it, don't talk about it. But our kids are so naturally and intuitively, they want to talk about it and know about it. And I think they get shut down so often. Don't talk about it. Don't say that. That's not going to happen. You know, that's not going to happen. You're like, yeah, it's definitely going to happen. Yeah. You're going no matter what, you know?
Yeah.
So is it, do you have to have a lot of those conversations, or is it just sort of like, are you just kind of like, everyone dies and here we go? And it's like not a fear, because you take the fear out of all of these things, right? In a way.
Listen, I even say to people, I'm not afraid. And growing up, I think we all have that fear. We have this fear of dying, right? I don't want to die, but I know that there's an afterlife. And I think that if we don't fear it, you know how many times people say to me, they go, well, I don't care, because I know if I could die, I could just talk to you and you'll tell everyone that I'm okay, right? And I'm like, yeah, that makes me feel better.
Live forever. Teresa's gotta live forever. Or you'll be up there like channeling it down to someone else. You know, Theresa, one of the things I think about is like, okay, so you were given the gift to be able to speak to the people who've passed away, but the interactions that you have with these people is so emotional. I can only imagine the amount of tears and the amount of like happiness, but also pain they go through. And you're emotionally strong enough to handle delivering the information. Does that come along with the two? Because, you know, it'd be one thing if you knew it all, but you're like, I can't handle seeing everybody cry all the time.
Yeah. Listen, it's a lot. Like you have to understand, when I read, I give a speech when I'm getting ready to read. And what Spirit does is they clear out all of my own personal thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And then all the emotions become of the person that I'm reading and the person sitting on the other side. They also make me feel like how they died. I can't have personal thoughts, feelings, or I'd be a mess. I'd be a mess. Okay. Listen, there are times that I do break down where I can't handle it. It's a lot. You know, and no matter what happens, I've gotten emotional over someone who's lost their dog, because to their dog, that their dog was like their child.
Can you talk to dogs?
I can.
That's so nice.
Pets come through. You know, anyone that really that we had a bond with. The bottom line is, the only thing that we lose when someone dies is that physical connection. That soul bond can never and will never be broken. And, you know, there are times that Spirit gets to that soul, part of my soul, where I'm like, listen, that's my sense. Like, you can't, that's my personal space. And I just get lost in the emotion. But I got to reel it back in, you know, because some of the stories
about your book.
My book, Good Morning. It's about everyday losses with wisdom from the other side. And that's the crazy thing about this book. Like you had mentioned earlier, over 2 years ago, I felt this need to write this book, because I noticed through readings, like someone's loved one would come through and say, listen, you can't even begin to deal with my loss. You have to deal with A, B, C, and D first, no matter whether if it was someone else or something that had happened previous in their life. And I kept noticing time after time after time. And that's what Good Morning is about, everyday losses. And basically what everyday losses is, we grieve what once was, whether it be a friendship.
Like the expectations, or what actually was. Like
what actually was. Well, there actually is a chapter in there that I wrote called Hopes and Dreams, and losing our hopes and dreams. And I think that this is, listen, I always thought I was going to be a Dallas Cowgirl cheerleader. I never thought I was going to talk to the dead for a living. Come on now. Where are my hopes and dreams in that book? But it's true. Like, we don't realize, maybe it's youth, maybe it's an empty nest. When we have children, we lose a part of ourselves, right? We feel we get into, and it's so important to remind everyone that just because we're a parent doesn't mean that we have to lose who we are or lose the things that we love. And taking care of ourselves or putting ourselves first doesn't mean that we're selfish. I think we're, you know, and no matter who you are, because I get, well, I'm Italian Catholic, you know, that guilt. And then my friends say, well, it's that Jewish guilt. So it's no matter what it is it as women, we feel that way, that if we don't put everyone else before us, we're being selfish.
Yeah.
And it's not. And I think through the pandemic, I really stress that to all my followers that, like, listen, you have to take care of yourself emotionally, physically, mentally. It is so important to take care of yourself.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that, because obviously we have all women in our, well, mostly women in our audience, and the amount of, like, the way they beat themselves up for not, like, having their kids eat dinner that they made because they snacked on crackers before, or like, everything they go to bed and they rethink about that day over and over again and what they could have done differently, so they don't sleep well because they're beating themselves up over what they should have done that they didn't do, and tomorrow they're going to do it, but then they wake up and they're so spent that they don't do it, and we have said from the beginning, this was really a woman's pandemic, because we were trying to teach full-time, cook full-time, be full-time. And I think we need women who have grown kids to be like, don't, like, give yourself a break, because it's not what they're going to remember, right? That's not what they're going to remember.
They're not. And it's so true. I remember my grandmother always used to say that. I know this is like no comparison, but I used to say to her, we used to go camping, and I used to say, why do we have to stay in a trailer? Why can't we stay in a big fancy hotel? And she used to say to me, because you're not going to remember the hotel. You're going to remember the memories. And she's so true, because that's what I do. I remember the campfires, the breakfast in the morning. I don't remember where we stayed. And, that you brought up the shoulda, coulda, woulda. That is one of the reasons why I do what I do. I struggled with my gift. And because I couldn't understand why someone would want to come to a medium, speak to their loved ones that have died. And what I learned is that we here in the physical world, when someone passes, we're left with those negative burdens and guilts. And we don't have a do-over, the next day to try to make it up. And so I had put my gift in God's hands and said, listen, if this is what I'm supposed to do, you open the door for me. And I'll walk through every door you open for me. And this is where I am. And it's amazing to me on how people don't know how to go on after the loss of a loved one. Whether it be if they sat by their loved one's side day in and day out, and then they went home to take a shower or went to go get a cup of coffee, and then their loved ones die at that exact moment. They feel guilty for that.
My grandmother did that, and I said she just wanted to go. You know what I mean? She's
but
like,
she wanted to go on her
alone.
terms.
Yeah.
She did not want anyone to watch her suffer. What I just heard and saw my symbol for, because I wrote this earlier on my pad, Mom. So a mother energy is like a grandmother and aunt that's present. I wrote that when I first sat down. And then what I just saw when you said that was I saw her jumping up and down, which means that she can move freely, which means that she's not bedridden or has the disability or ailment. And then she showed me my symbol for when someone wants to let someone know that the hardest thing about them being sick was watching their loved ones watch them be sick. And to watch the last breath is something that we think we want to be there for, but we would not be able to live through that at all.
It's funny you wrote mom, because that's my mom was by her side because she was the only daughter, and she went to go get something, and my mom, took it the hardest because my mom spent a lot of time with her. And when the doctor was baffled that she died, he was like, honestly, she must have just wanted to go. The doctor was like, what the hell just happened? And my mom, was upset, but at the same time, she was like, of course she did on her terms.
That was so her.
Of course she wanted to do that. Of course.
Died on her terms. And then
she died on her terms.
we never look at that other side of the coin. If they stayed, what they would have had to have gone through. We only look at that side of the coin. Oh, well, if I was there, I wonder if she was afraid. And it's totally I'm out. And when you were telling the story about there was a car accident, I saw the white wings around the car. That's my symbol for where a soul protected them, because she should have been more seriously injured in that accident, if not died, correct?
Yeah.
So that spirit validating the protection of that. There's a father energy stepping forward. Where does the dad come in? That's past. So if it's not a dad, it would be a grandfather or someone like a dad.
Right.
He just labored my breathing. So it means that he passed from something from the chest, heart, lungs.
Yeah. Do you have one? We have so many between us.
My mom's dad died of a heart attack.
Well, there you go.
I heard at my own hands. So it means that he did not take care of himself, or he did not take the precautions that he should have, or someone feels that if he went to the doctor that he wouldn't have died. That means that they take responsibility, not wanting someone to be left with that. Do you understand the coin collection? Or do you find coins in odd places?
My kids do.
Okay. So I just wanted to validate, because messages when I talk can be from more than one person.
It's really weird you just said coins, because literally my daughter found a thing of coins in her pocket today when she pulled out her old winter coat. And then my other daughter dropped a coin on the way to school. And my daughter was like, she stole that coin from me. I'm like, no, I don't know where she found the coin. She just had the, so literally you're saying this, and there was all coin conversation. And my daughter is missing her coins from the move, and she can't find her freaking coins. This is so weird. You're saying coins.
Well, it's a validation that the mother energy again is stepping forward. So just know that she watches over, more importantly, that she was present for the exact conversation. Does one of your girls have her eyes, or you referred that someone has a part of a departed loved one, you see them in them?
Yep.
Because first I saw my symbol for namesake. So if it wasn't specifically named after someone, like a part of the name, but then they brought me right to the eyes, which is the gateway to the soul. So know that when you say, oh my God, they remind me so much of them, know that their soul is with them. The soul is with you at that exact moment, and that they do watch over, that they know of the children.
That's cute.
That's very cute.
How do you connect with the number 7? Month of July, someone's the age of 7.
Yeah, it's my daughter's favorite number and my husband's birthday month.
Okay. So, because some people might say, oh, of course they lost their grandmother, or of course their grandmother would come through, right? I was well into my 40s when I lost my grandparents, who were like my parents. So for me, and I think that was also part of my gift, part of my journey, because I didn't really experience such loss like that. So
so you had grandparents that were like your parents, and you also had your parents that lived beside you?
Yeah, my parents live right next door. My dad just turned 80. Yeah, we all lived in the same town.
It's amazing.
So interesting, because Nat and I are very like, we don't fear death, and we don't fear spirits, and we feel like pretty open to the world. So for us, the whole, like, we often we don't get nervous of like the conversations. So I often feel like we don't know our history that well, because we come from divorced families, and
and people who don't talk.
Yeah.
So it's so interesting, because when you're saying this, I'm like, gosh, I don't know a lot about my history.
Not like the way how you know your grandparents so well.
Like I'm sort of bummed that I don't know more about that.
So here's an interesting thing. So, everyone's celebrating the holidays different this year, right? And my grandparents, such a big part. I mean, you have to realize, Italian family, Sundays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays were always dinner at the grandparents. And we still have the Sunday dinner every Sunday. So I was literally just thinking, this is when I get my best information, when I dry my hair or I'm in the shower.
Me too. Literally in the shower. I'm like, nah, I just had a shower. What do you think about this? I'm not joking.
It's great because your mind is at rest, right?
Is that what it is?
Yeah. So
Okay.
usually I'm going to go off a little course here, but like a lot of times when, you know, when I try to tell people and they want to connect with their loved ones, they want to get a sign, like it's so unfair to say, all right, listen, Dad, I'm going to know it's you if by 4 o'clock on Saturday, I see 3 red cardinals and 2 rainbows and 6 ladybugs. Like you can't do that.
Right.
It's, you
Give
know,
me a sign. Give me a sign.
yeah, but the signs come from nowhere. It's like, you know, when you hear that, you change the channel on the radio and the song comes on that reminds you of someone that has died and it's not a current top 40 hit, or you feel like you smell something that reminds you of them, or you feel like someone's behind you, or you just like think of something out of nowhere. That is the soul. They're letting you know that they're with you. It's not that they are the red cardinal, that they are the song. It's their soul getting you to notice it, to say, remember, I'm here.
Can I tell you a really weird story? When my dog died, who was like he like literally he knew everything. He was just one of those dogs. When he died, I was walking home and a butterfly kept landing on me every time I would, like, it followed me from the vet all the way home and kept landing on me, landing on me. So we now call all of our dogs who have died butterflies. So whenever we see a butterfly, that's a dog. And then when my grandmother was dying, my mom said, she's like, my room was filled with butterflies. And my mom was like, you'll never guess what, because everyone kind of made fun of me that, you know, they are like, the kids were all like, there's Wendell, the butterfly. Yes. But the first butterfly was my first dog, Miles. Anyways, so I've had butterflies, you know, for a while. So it was interesting that there was, you know, my grandmother saw a room of butterflies and my mom nearly keeled over because she was like, your grandmother saw butterfly.
The dogs are coming for her. The dogs are coming for grandma. Yeah,
she's like, my mom's like, I hope she's not going to the dogs. You know what I mean? I was dying. My mom,
yes.
It was pretty funny.
I don't know if it was, I saw like this, like a nail, and then I saw like collars hanging, like a red collar hanging. That's my symbol for where we kept something of our dogs or a pet when we put them down. So whether if you had the collar, and I actually saw it like hanging. So did you do that or did you keep the collar?
I don't think I did. I mean, it was very, my mom, it was very traumatic, that whole situation, but it was both of them. I mean, I think we had their ashes for a very long time.
The dogs?
Yes.
You burned your dogs?
Cremated them. And then,
is that what you do?
And they were in an urn and they were in my mom's house for so long. I'm like, Mom, the dog is still here. We had to go. My grandmother also for a long time too, like a year.
Have the craziest
and
family.
My grandmother was in the car for a while. I'm like, Mom, you can't leave Grandma and the Gran in the car.
Oh my God.
Then we put Gran in the lake and we had a party. It was lovely.
Oh my gosh.
You have to do that. You have to do that.
We have a crazy family, Theresa. Or we have a crazy family, the two of us. Two crazy families.
I have my dog is cremated, Petey.
I didn't know people.
Yeah.
This
so you have to do. You cremate them.
What?
And then
oh my God! I thought they just take them.
They can, but you get them back.
And our two dogs have been in the window staring at us. This is my first dog, so I don't know this dog stuff. Oh my gosh!
Animals are very intuitive, young children, because their minds aren't like busy with like burdens, you know, or like excuses. When we see things, how many times people come and they'll say to me, well, I'm not seeing my mom. I don't know why. My mom and I were so close and she promised me that she'd come through, you know, and show me signs. And then all of a sudden the soul will start showing me all these things that they're experiencing. And they're like, yeah, that happened. Oh yeah. And I'm like, well, that's your mom. Like, they're like, well, I didn't think she would do that. Why would she do that? I'm like, because that's the way she's communicating. I didn't follow you around for months before your reading to say, oh, this is how your mom connects with you. This is your experience. Spirit talks about what you witness and what you see. Because they just showed me like the shadows. So I connect with spirit with shadows. That's how I see them. So some people think they're afraid of the shadows. That's a soul. That is
so a ghost. So that would be considered a quote unquote ghost, but it's a soul. Like, you know, when people are like, there's a ghost in my house.
Right. Well, I don't think of them as ghosts. I call them the souls or spirits.
Okay, so
Ghosts are
that's
so
good,
scary. Like, why would
that's for
someone?
good to people to hear though, right? Because I think there's a lot of
Yes.
misconception about, like,
Ghosts
like
being scary.
sometimes
Spirits
there's
being scary.
orbs in people's pictures, like the blue orbs in the
Yes.
pictures are, and they're like, those are spirits, correct?
Because
Are
that's
they?
the camera picking up the energy. Now, a cool thing, you know how years ago we used to have when there were negatives and you get like a double exposure? You can't have them now in a digital camera, right? You can literally today with digital cameras, if you look closely at pictures and you feel like you see something in there, you kind of zoom in. Sometimes you'll actually see pictures that you have. Like, I don't even know how it's done, and you will like see them in the picture. Like they just show me like an old picture of like a couple like together in a picture. Like, how would that be? You just took a picture of.
Yeah.
Do spirits move on together, like eventually, like, so there's soulmates and then there's spirit, like, are there spirit mates that go continue, like, will we be together? Like, have you ever met two people up in heaven before?
Yes. So what'll happen is it's considered your soul circle. So, and I've learned this because I've done past life regressions on like soul circles. So you know how they say we've been here many times.
Yeah.
I did a past life regression, and I was a boy, a young man, and I was like searching and trying to get someone out of a fire in this past life. And when I saved the boy in the fire, they said, the woman said to me, "Look in their eyes, who do you see?" And I saw my nephew, who's in the physical world now. So my nephew was my brother in a previous life.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah. It was also the same nephew that when he was little, he called me up and said, "Jason is seeing dead people and it's your fault," and hung up on me.
So when a person passes away and they are a spirit, do they then eventually get reborn?
Yes.
But
that's when your soul, I don't know. That's when your soul circle is complete. That I don't know. Listen, I don't have all the answers. I'll find out when I get there.
Like 1111, the numbers, when you see these numbers constantly, do they mean something? We need to settle this debate online.
Yes.
Do they? Yes, they do.
Listen, everyone has their own interpretation or connection with numbers. Okay.
I like that.
1111 is a very, very strong spiritual number. When you look at the clock for no reason and the time is always the same, know that that is your loved ones getting you to look at the clock at that time. Sometimes you might just see these numbers over and over. Sometimes you'll actually see the time that someone died. You might think of someone when you see those numbers. You know, it's your gut instinct. You know who you think of when you have these experiences.
Yeah. Okay, well that is like, this other world that we talk about is something that I think is so important to have this conversation, because I think you also bring peace to people who sit there and fear and get so scared, because a lot of people can't even, like, they're petrified by death, that they don't live. They're so focused on not living and living in a world of trying to be perfect because they've got to get it right,
or they're so sad that the person they've lost is gone completely forever.
Yeah. Listen, that's what Good Morning also is about. It gives you the permission to, like, say, like, you know what, it's okay that I'm not okay. And nothing is perfect. There is not one thing in the world that is perfect. Nothing is perfect. No. And of course it's scary. Nobody wants to die, but it's a fact. Unfortunately, we are going to die at some point. When it's our time, it's our time. This is why it's important to live our best full life and be whoever it is that, if you don't mind me saying, that God intended you to be, or that you feel that you need to be. I tell people this all the time. Here I was, well into my 30s, and I still felt like there was something missing deep within my soul. Still had my grandparents, my parents, married. My ex-husband at the time survived a brain tumor. I had 2 beautiful children. But until I accepted my gift is when I felt complete, because that is who I was meant to be here in the physical world. And a lot of times some people, and I share that because I think people, I don't want people to think that if they have that feeling, it's like, oh my God, I missed my calling. I'm supposed to be a medium.
No.
It's whatever it is of, a lot of times it might be in someone if they feel that they want to be in a same-sex relationship, because to some people that's not normal. Well, who's to say that's not normal? Who's to say not talking to dead people isn't normal? Well, for me, it's normal. And whoever decided what normal is. And I think the most important thing in life is that we need to respect ourselves, love and honor and respect ourselves and the people around us. Yep. And life doesn't have to be that hard. Yeah. Is life hard? Yeah. And you know what? It stinks sometimes. But you know what? Think about all the things that we are grateful for, the things that we do have. Focus on the things that we have control over, not what we don't have control over. Like, we don't know when we're going to die. So I'm going to live my best life to the fullest. And when it's my time, it's my time.
You speak our language. The words that you say are the way that we feel. And we really try to tell our children and, the people that follow us about this, and that, yes. And people always say, how come you can always why you guys find joy, and why are you always laughing? You always ignite fun. How is this? Like, you've got, your life is, so crazy, whatever. Like, we're so grateful for the things that we have. Right. And we know that we need to find fun here, because there is fun to be found everywhere.
Mm-hmm. And I think the other thing is too, like, it's okay to have a bad day. You don't think I have a bad day, but I don't let myself wallow in it for weeks or even days. It's okay. It's okay not to be okay.
Yeah. I have three questions I need answered. Okay. Number one, do you believe in guardian angels?
Yes.
Okay. Number two, do you believe there are cocktails up in the afterlife?
I hope so.
Like, you're not a spirit drinking like a cocktail while
So here's they'll step forward with a beer in their hand and they'll be like, he always had a beer.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because we have visions of our
I was just making sure that we could oh God,
still have a margarita.
Yeah, I was making sure margaritas came with me when I went up there.
Oh, you guys are still young. That's too much sugar for someone old like me.
We go for half sugar, extra spice.
Yeah, half sugar. We take out that sugar. And number three was we don't need to fear death. That wasn't the question it left, because I'm a mom and it doesn't live there.
I knew you'd
live. But I know I lost the third one, but I feel like I got the two most important ones.
I totally agree. What I mean? And thank you so much.
Oh, I remember the third.
Okay, here we go.
Can you share a guardian angel?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I love that.
What I just heard was, if it's a soul of a departed loved one, then yes.
Right.
So some people believe that a guardian angel is also someone that they've lost. Mm-hmm. I've been told that guardian angels are souls that did not get the opportunity to walk here in the physical world.
Ooh, awesome.
So some people refer to their departed loved ones as guardian angels. And I always say, you can't tell someone what they feel or what they believe. So if it's a soul that they feel, say, hypothetically, it's a grandmother they feel is their guardian angel that watches over, then yes, she can watch over more than one. Of course she can. She'll watch over the entire family.
Love it.
Okay.
Where can everybody find you?
And not like in your room or your house.
Don't
where can
they find online?
Don't knock on her window while she's at a stoplight. Where can they find you online?
It does happen.
Not in your car.
All information on my website, theresacaputo.com, Instagram, Theresa Caputo, and there's all the links to everything that I'm doing.
And we will link it all for you too.
Yes,
and
you're
on the gram. So, I mean, you're a light in a place that's quite dark right now. So everyone should go follow you. And thank you for sharing your time with us.
So nice to meet you.
Well, thank you for having me on. You guys are awesome.
You too.
I'm glad. I'm glad we passed. I was a bit nervous, but I'm glad we did it,
Listen, you're giving people hope. You're giving people faith. You're giving people permission to love and honor and not beat themselves up, and to know that as parents, I always say this about I don't know why I'm saying this, but you know, it's like children and like, even like with death, it's not like we're given a handbook when we have children. You know, you're handed a baby and a case of formula and like, okay, have a nice life. And everyone around you is telling you what to do, right? How to do it. But what do? You do what feels right for you, what works best for you. It's the same thing with death. If you're out there and you say, I should be grieving this, I shouldn't be feeling this. Listen, there is no right or wrong way to grieve. You grieve the way that you feel that you need to, as long as you're not harming yourself or anyone else.
Sounds like your book could really help people see that.
Absolutely.
Better. They don't quite understand.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
We appreciate you so much.
Oh, thank you, ladies. Have a fantastic day.
Bye.
Bye.